Welcome to another HNL Tonight Show with the co-host, Cole Frenchy, directly from the beautiful country of Thailand. And we have to find our co-host of the morning, the HABS branch, your Sunday rendezvous. Back with us tonight, 12 hours later, Marco Larabi from Ottawa.
Good evening, Coach. My brunch is well digested by now. I've had time to settle in and glad to be back. Back-to-back bookends of the day, the morning and the evening. So lots to talk about, though. Still, it was a
busy
great
day
show
for
this
you
morning,
and the world of the hockey. Of course, you have a lot of things going on around the league, and it's fun news from Vancouver to Montreal, and you know we have 6 games in action, I think, tonight, and around the NHL. So we're going to talk about those 5 games today in the NHL, and the big week for the Montreal Canadiens, the big week for the Florida Panthers. You know, I'm always watching the Florida Panthers, what they look like, what's going to happen. They called back Spencer Knight, but they play a back-to-back game this week, Rangers, Pittsburgh, and then during the weekend, they play at home back-to-back games. So it's very not easy schedule for them. They are right now 18 in the standing, and if Montreal want to get a top 10 picks, they have to. Panthers cannot make the playoff. They knocked the door, but the schedule gave a little bit more advantage of the Pittsburgh right now to make the wild card versus the Florida Panthers. On the news, I want to mention Washington Capitals announced Alex Ovechkin is out at this moment with a lower back problem. So he did not play against the Vegas Golden Knights, but I forgot to mention this a little bit later. The Philadelphia Flyers come back after they set a 2-goal to tie the game 3-3. Again, the Winnipeg Jets, Mr. Marco, about that. So,
yeah. Well, maybe for Ovechkin, maybe we should have the Habs medical team look at his back, because you know how everybody is giving rave reviews about the Montreal Canadiens medical team. So maybe they could lend to the Capitals to take a look at Ovechkin. Why don't we lend our medical team to also help the Florida Panthers? We could use the Florida Panthers to have recurring injuries and have 10 regulars out. That would be
would
be
be
a nice
interesting for sure. The Boston Bruins 3-0 against the Sharks, Mr. Marco. So that's not a problem there. The Canadiens surprised the Vegas Golden Knights. Are you concerned about the Golden Knights?
Yeah, like they had such a strong start, but I still think, like, originally, remember we had that really strong debate there this summer and in the fall. I saw them struggling to like be right in the wild card hunt, and that might turn out to be true. Like it's a tough. You have Los Angeles that's emerging, Seattle that's emerging in the Pacific, and you just know that eventually Edmonton's gonna put it together now. Vander Kane's back, so yeah, it's. I think they're going to definitely need to get their stuff together. I still think they're a playoff team, but again, they have a lot less depth than they've had in previous years. Logan Thompson, is just a miracle for them that they're able to find him. Even Hill, it's a really solid goaltending for them. That's just kind of found money, right? Like, these are not prospects that they were probably counting on to carry the load for them. So imagine if they didn't have that luck of having Logan Thompson and Hayden Hill carrying the mail, right? So bit of a concern, but I think they'll be okay.
Unfortunately for Thompson, since December 10, I believe, his save percentage dropped at below 900. So there's some concern about Thompson. Is it like he's on the pace right now to be a 65 game this season?
That's too much. Yeah, that's
so it's a lot of couple of red flag over there. And the team is funny. When the Mark Stone is not there, that team will not play the same way. I don't say the same level.
They don't have the depth.
Same way. And really strange what's going on over there. So a lot of concern anyway. I remember one thing. They start with a 23 game or 25 or the first 25 games, I think there was like play again. I think 18 or 19 of those games, it was like the below of the 500 team and NHL winning percentage. So that's maybe sometime at the beginning change the team look like, and when you
The
start
quality of the
14
opponent, yeah.
3-1 example, whatever it was the record, because you play again, I don't know, like Columbus, Arizona, whatever it was. So and then the schedule is more difficult. That's the reason they play more like a 500 team. But it's a Pacific Division, really, really interesting to watch. We talk always about the wild card and who make the playoff, but the Pacific Division is not this one. Now, who's going to win the division? Because
National
Seattle
division,
now
yeah.
number one, and then the Kings knock the door. They're going to win tonight. They're going to pass again. The Jets just scored to take the lead again, 4-3. Again, the Flyers. And then it's really interesting, the Pacific Division. And Ulmark is going to get maybe another shootout. The Vizina is in his hands right now for Ulmark, Linus Ulmark, the goaltender for the Boston. We're going to talk about the same thing about the league news for sure, guys. But first of all, we're going to welcome very quickly, Marco, people in the house. So we have from New Brunswick, Yann Genet is in the house. So welcome aboard, Yann.
Hey, Monsieur Genet.
Talking about Nouveau-Brunswick, notre ami de Saint-Georges-de-Beauce, Mr. Zinnik Gaming is in the house with Ziela. Notre ami André Robert Drouin, Mr. Marco is in the house. Welcome back, André.
Yes, sir.
André make a lot of comments about my app Daily News Monday to Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. He make a lot of good comments. So André is really knowledgeable about hockey. About that. And notre ami from l'Ange Gardien, Luc Lafortune, is in the house with the comments like the players are too small for the Montreal Canadiens. That's a big problem over there. And then we have Mr. Nartap is in the house. Welcome back, Mr. Nartap, our co-host of the warm-up show, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. with all the predictions. Mr. Nartap does not feel good right now, so we wish him a speed recovery to be ready tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Our friend Gary Cournoyer is in the house. Welcome back, Mr. Gary Cournoyer, the road runner. We call him the road runner, Mr. Marco.
Yes, sir. The pocket rocket.
I know. Our friend for Chicago Bear, Fans 97, back in the house about the Blackhawks. Surprisingly won the last two games, and he should be proud of that team. And then our friend from Denver, big fan of Colorado Avalanche. Well, Colorado Avalanche looking good. 5 straight game with a W. Big win in the Vancouver Canucks. Willie Snyder is in the house. Welcome back. Thanks for being with us. Your neighbor, Mr. Marco. Vinny James, 007 for Ottawa Senator.
What's up, Vinny?
Our friend L. Ensign back in the house. Hello, Bronx Guru. Yeah, absolutely right about this. Another one, he follow us, Marco, and he does a lot of good comments under my app Daily News. So glad to having him aboard with us tonight. Going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens for sure. Our NHL is in the house. Our friend, brother of Danny, Mr. Roger, he's in the house. Welcome back, Mr. Roger. Thanks to be with us. He's your neighbor, by the way, because he lives right there in Ottawa. So glad to have him aboard for sure. Just try to look about this. François Pitt knocked the door. Thanks so much, François Pitt. Another great supporter of the Hockey Nation Show.
Oui, monsieur.
He still think we can win better at the intro and watching from Israel. Mr. Marco, we have Adam Ross watching from Israel. He may be my neighbor, but maybe not my neighbor, but yeah, maybe 3,000 miles from me. But welcome, Mr. Adam. Don't forget to subscribe to Hockey Nation Show. Click on the likes. And if you are the first time, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Thanks with us. Sometimes we call him the deal. Sometimes we call him no deal. But we have always the real deal. The Buffalo Sabres, welcome back tonight. John Garage is in the house. John, thanks to be with the Hockey Nation Show tonight. That would be great to hit that. Have some kind of pushing between Boston and
Ottawa. The young Frankenstein picture going. That's awesome. I love that movie, Young Frankenstein.
I want to go back at that question here, and then after that, we're going to start about this fun subject. François, I still think we can win better lottery. What are you feeling about that one over there?
Well, listen, like it's a lottery for a reason, right? So, I think if you're in the lottery, then you have a chance to win. I think really, I forget the exact number, but I think it's only once in the last 5 or 6 years that the team that finished last actually won the lottery, so that's good news. I don't think there's any chance that we'll finish last. I don't think there's much chance that we'll finish below like bottom five. So is there a chance? Absolutely. You know, if Florida continues to rocket their way up the standings, then that's even less of a chance. I think we were all really excited when we were combining our, you know, the Canadians draft pick and the Florida draft pick together and doing that math. But that math is getting more and more treacherous as Florida wins games. So, is there a chance? Yes. Would I manage your expectations? Absolutely, because it's not likely to happen. But the good news, as we've been talking about all year, is that this is a draft, a generational draft, not just because there's a generational player in it, but potentially the best draft since 2003, 2003, right? The year where, you know, you're talking Jeff Carter, you're talking Corey Perry, you're talking, you know, that crop of players, Ryan Getzlaff, like so we hear that sometimes, like every couple of years, you hear 2003 is the best one, and this next one might be just as good, but this year it might be true. So don't be disillusioned, Habs fans. It's not just all about Bedard. There's still some really other good players that are to be had there.
You're absolutely right about that. I would just add one more thing here about this question. Your statement about this. First of all, the percentage of chance of Montreal, if Panther are 11 and descending and below, right? And down to the one, the chance of Montreal are number 4 behind the number 1, 2, and 3 in descending. So that gave them about 10%, so 11% chance to win for Bedard.
Well, put it this way, Coach. Like if you had a 12% chance to win the lottery, you'd be pretty excited. So Habs fans should be very excited. Like I'd take 12% to win the lottery. So.
Yeah, the second thing, the last 10 years, only 4 teams won finish at the last position, won the lottery at the same time. So that's a percentage, about 40% that could happen again for that one over there. So I just want to add this. And thirdly, about the NHL draft prospect, I will give you an example. The first 4 picks at the NHL, like you just said, they are generational player, or they are a player could be like a really an impact. Elite players minimum to max, all right? From 5th to 22, 21, 22, those number, we talk about players can play on the top 6 in NHL, and they can become a third defenseman, number 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
From there, from 23rd to go, and the next batch, the 25 players, so 23rd to 48, right, is a mix of player where they could be a top 9, so it can be bubble, exactly like you make sense. And then a possibility of 4 and 5th, but they are going to play in NHL. So how, most of the time, you know what I mean? Like it's rare you see that, but the second round is going to be really interesting about that. So I just want to clarify a little bit more. The people understand more about the 22, 23 draft, like maybe the selection player. We want to make a little bit more video about those players. We have only we have the World Junior Championship. It was January 5th, right? So about 20 days ago, Marco, it was the end of the World Junior Championship. A lot of people get sold at the World Junior Championship, and I always feel people tell them, be careful, because, guy, it's only 7 games. It's not like a month of hockey. It's 7 games. And if a player have a bad tournament, right, 2 points, a 6 game, and or example like Fentelli or Leo Carlson, people say, but Carl Fentelli was not there. Yeah, but he played on the left winger. He's not. So a tournament is it's about to win the gold medal. It's about the team concept. It's not like
it's like Martin saying we coaching to win, right? They're coaching to win. They're not coaching to develop or showcase prospects, right?
Exactly. So sometimes people say, but he did not do well. It's only 7 games. So you have to look a little bit more deeper. My point behind my final point on this one is the player prospects in the last 20 days, some of them step up more. They are increasing their value. I will give you an example. The Team USA, the U18 with, we know already, with Willie Smith, right? Willie Smith is a great player spot. 2 players we have to mention, I'm doing right now. I'm going to remind you this one. Olivier Moore. There's going to be another Dylan Larkin. This could be a really good pick for the Montreal. At the one, the Florida Panthers could be 10, 11, 12, 13. And I know Sidon Belinka is another defenseman that can be at that part. But more, nobody talk about them. Rand Leonard step up in that direction to be now on the top 10, top 12. Two players was not considered this like month ago. And now they consider them, and some of them, they drop, like a Brendan Yager, drop a lot the last couple of weeks. Everything like that.
Yeah.
We're going to go a little bit more about those pick. With Montreal can select like numbers 5, 6, 7. You know that. I would give you another example, like I just mentioned about the World Junior Championship, Dalibor Devosky, where it was a good, but not a great tournament for him. But again, it's 7-7 game only. So I don't know what you think about that.
I agree. Like, if you look historically, the draft rankings do alter drastically from the World Junior Championship until the draft, right? Like there's there's still lots of movement. There's always at least 2 or 3 late risers, that happen as well. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for things to change. Montreal, I'm sure, is covering all their bases because at this time last year, I think they had a pretty good idea that they were going to be getting a top 3 pick. But this year, the range could be anywhere from like you have to scout the entire first round and second round, right? Because you don't know where Florida is going to finish. They're actively trying to acquire another first round pick at least. So that's likely to be a later round pick as well. So if you're Kent Hughes, Jeff Gordon, and the scout and Martin Lapointe and that whole crew, you can't afford to not just be scouring the entire world right now. Like you need to, they're leaving no stone unturned at all, right? So yeah, lots of things can change here. Um, you know, people can watch the World Juniors and watch a couple things on YouTube, but these guys put in the hours and they grind to not just watch the games on YouTube, but they're going to see the players live and seeing how they interact. There's certain things that you can only see live, right? Like how a player reacts when he's coming. Like did he skate slowly off the ice? Was he a total asshole to his teammates? And things like these are just things that you see when you're in the environment, right? So much work goes into this, and it's going to be exciting. Like we were talking about it this morning, Coach. Like, why should we continue watching the Canadiens and follow hockey, even though it's going to be maybe a tougher stretch here with some key players out? Well, the trade deadline is going to be really interesting. You need to follow Coach and you need to follow HLN for these updates. Like there's going to be a lot of good information on this channel about some of these prospects, and not everybody has time to spend 10, 12 hours a day trying to read about all these prospects. So, Coach, you're a really good source for our community here. So I know that we're all going to be looking forward to some some good reports about where Montreal might go with these really critical picks for 2023.
It's funny you talk about this because yesterday I was thinking about I tried to figure out how we can bring more people and everything like that. And I said, if you look about all the YouTube channel, and they do a great job. I don't want to, against them. I would talk about Frank Wells or Tony Marion. Tony does a good, Chris Nallen, and who they are, right? And they talk about Montreal Canadiens, but not many people do cover the junior, like the QM, the OHL and the WHL. Like they pass 1 hour per week on those team and on those players and anything like that. At some point, I think it's more easier to invite some coaches and some players to come to the show talking about, does it make sense, like a 1 hour segment per week talking
Absolutely,
about the junior?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Let's talk here about, before we talk about it, we have a question for NRTAP. You talk about the rookie Pelletier after Darryl Sutter, and my point, we'll bring that question right away, guys, because I prepared the show at the beginning of the before I come here. I tried to figure out what is going on around the league, and there was one right there. It was one of the last subject of the day was about the Calgary Flame, about Jakob Pelletier. We know Pelletier was the first round pick draft by the Calgary Flame, playing American Hockey League, have a great year so far. with that team, and then now he got the call up by the Flame, but he not play game yet. So what tell a little bit more about Pelletier's situation?
Yeah, this one is just terrible, coach. Listen, I like Sutter. I'll defend coaches like Tortorella and Sutter for being a little kind of having a bit of a rough exterior, and it's all part of the show. We like the press conferences when there's funny moments and everything, but what he did last night was I think just disrespectful. This is a moment that a player has been working towards their entire life. They've been working hard, imagining, their first game in the NHL. You have all your friends and family excited to probably at the game and all that. And then you go home and you see your coach basically, kind of rip you, say that he doesn't even know what number you're wearing, and then kind of embarrass you like that. So listen, I don't mind. I understand he's old school. It works for some people. I don't mind a lot of it, but I think that was definitely crossing the line. If you're it was really interesting. I was watching Hockey Night in Canada, I think, when I first saw it, and I think a lot of people understood that Kelly Rudy went through a really tough time. He's such a big advocate for mental health, and so he's had a tough time recently. And he's been very open about sharing all that stuff on Twitter. But I don't know if you saw Kelly Rudy's reaction, but he did not hold back at all, and he covers the Calgary Flames, right? So you know that when you're covering a team like that, those reporters are always going to be a bit more careful because you're trying to maintain that relationship, especially at that level. But he did not hold back, and I agree. If the ironic thing is right behind Darryl Sutter while he was saying this, it was the Bell Let's Talk, like the mental health, special day that they have about mental health was like right behind him as he was giving his press conference. So, I think, we've seen a lot of questionable things from either management teams or, in this case, a senior coaching staff on Canadian teams as well too. Like with everything we're going to talk about Vancouver, I'm sure later too. But just disgraceful, man. Have some respect for the kid. I just feel terrible for him. Hopefully he has a good support system, but just
Yeah,
awful.
26 overall pick 2019. The draft was in Vancouver. I was there. And and then, say one game yesterday, and then he played only 6 minutes, 50 seconds during his time at TOI yesterday. So I just want to bring this to you guys. And I couldn't be more agree with what he said, Marco, about Pelletier. And Chicago or score, but score at 7 seconds, so he's not going to win this game anyway. Next question about ticks is Andre. Talk about Mr. Ottawa. Do you believe a player been too short? One some talk to Algerian, same ridiculous. One many team are shot players since
Ah,
1950.
I love this question. Okay, so this is actually one of my pet peeves. There's a couple of pet peeves I have in hockey. One of them is when it's 0-0 and the announcer says there's no score. Yes, there is a score. It's just that the score is 0-0. There's no goals, but I hate it when announcers say that. But that's a totally different thing. My other pet peeve is when people call certain players small. So there's a difference in my opinion, right? So you can have short players, players that are maybe shorter, but they're actually still pretty strong. A perfect example of that is Suzuki, right? He's not tall; he's under 6 feet. I think he's 5'11", but he is stocky and he's strong. Martin Saint Louis is another great example. He is short; he's not small. So that's a really big difference. Now, the thing with Cole Caufield, he is small. He is short, but he is also pretty small. Now, in the offseason, I think we all commented and noticed that he did put on some muscle, and like his upper body was a lot stronger. And you could see that in in October in the early season. And even throughout most of the first half of the year, he was winning a lot more 50-50 battles, or actually even participating in them when we didn't see that a lot before. So is there a place for short players that are strong? Absolutely. Small players are still gonna, like, you have a Goudreau who is short and kind of small. You have to be really an elite talent though to be able to navigate the NHL and do that. Now the rule changes have definitely made that a lot easier, or the application of the rules. The rules didn't really change. The application of the rules following the lockout made it so that we have smaller, and shorter puck moving defensemen that that can thrive in the league. So how that pertains to Caufield, I think he does need to get a bit stronger for sure. I think, and he'll just get smarter at navigating, the NHL and everything. So, should it affect Montreal's willingness to commit to him long term? I think his talent just makes it worth the risk. Like you can't overlook what he brings. But I can see why certain people would be perfect segue into the Cole Caufield injury, right? So. Um, we talk a lot about this morning, Coach. I think there's a lot of people that are being really critical about the Montreal medical team and overall the organization's decision to let him play. But I think it's a lot more complex than that. It's not Montreal encouraging or pressuring Cole Caufield to play even though he's injured. The player wants to play. So often, the organization has to protect the player from himself. But one thing we have to realize, guys, is players all the time are playing with injuries. So it's really a degree. It's always a constant analysis and kind of judgment call of, is the risk too high based on kind of where the team is. So I don't think they'll openly admit the fact that where they are in the standings impacts that. Coach, do you think if the Habs were, let's say this was 3 years from now, and they were closer to competing for a playoff spot, do you think that Cole would be playing?
Yes. Yes.
I think so too.
And it depends, but if they're on the playoff right now, right, and they're looking good and they have a chance, yes. The only reason I believe they did happening now is because it's a recovery 6 months, I believe, 7 months. And if you push back in April, like usually you think next during off season, right? That will bring him to December. So what he decided to do is like, let's do it right now. He's going to be ready for the training camp in October and start the season. So that was for me at the end of the day. I think that would be announced the next couple of days. That would be the biggest outcome of the decision they take about that one over there. So it's an injury they can continue to play with. And then until couple of weeks, couple of months, but he will have to go through the surgery at some point. So it's just like precaution to do it earlier for the start of the season next year at the right about that one.
I don't think he would have to get the surgery. Absolutely, I think what I heard from Brisson is that he could have continued to play for weeks, but if he fell the wrong way, he could aggravate it to the point where this surgery would be much, much more complex than it would be today, right?
But it's like a player with hip, right? A player play with hip. They consistently play until they really know they cannot do anything about that. Like the pain is there every time that, and then they're going to go to surgery. That's the same thing happening with him. You're so right. He can play until he can aggravate this, and then at some point where he cannot do it. Like he said, sometimes they bring back the shoulder back. Before the game, every time like that, right? So, and they play with a really tough mentality as a player. Don't want to get out of the game every time like that. But again, I think the smartest decision it's happened, and I like the fact they want to outside and Montreal approve it. They don't have to do it, and if they don't want to, it's a bargain negotiation between the players and the NHL. But he got three report of 4 treats from a doctor, and I think it was at that moment they decided to go there about that. On the contract, I said maybe they're going to go with a bridge contract, and we turned that. I was just looking about the 10 smallest player in NHL. And the smallest one is Alex DeBrincat and Cole Caufield at 5'7". They are about the same weight, like 160, 165, 168. And then you have to go to 5'8", 5'9", Johnny Gaudreau, Yannick Gourde, and they are like the the smallest one in NHL. Brett Marchand is another one. Marchessault is another one. Zuccarello is another one. But most of them are 170 to 180. Not many over 180. So I think another 5, 7, 8 muscle mass to the body of Cole Caufield that were helping him to be a bit. But when you watch him, it's rare. He get hit a lot and he lose like he fall. Does it make sense? Like those kind of players, they know what they have to do and they keep their head very well up. That's the reason why they can play at 5'7". They are very unique, like the brain cat. But it's rare. Like he's put on the bad situation. The only we remember is the one from Terry Lewis,
Calgary.
Again, Lewis from the Calgary. But this was a Swiss pass from Mike Hoffman and from the net. So that put him on the
Mike Hoffman.
I know. He does those kinds of stuff sometimes,
Really?
good or bad, depending on what you think they are. But that's happening. Let's move on for what we got here. We need Pilaka. He by the two tickets. Have a chance to tickets of another play lately, but they have a very tough schedule. Francois Pitt, they play well. Yep, so right. The Fleur Panthers. But this was going to be really interesting because they have a difficult. The Rangers, the Pittsburgh. This week, I believe they have the Kings at the end of the week. Then they have 4 teams in the playoff race. So I just want to sharing this with you guys. So, but Spencer Knight is back, and they're looking good the last couple of games for sure. But if you think about this, yes, they jumping from 22nd, I believe, to 18, right? So wow, that's impressive, right? But pay attention, the other team play the most game in NHL. On the winning percentage, they are 21. And so they win this week, but did not like advance a lot because other team behind they winning too. So they win yesterday, but the Pittsburgh got 1 point today. They're still behind, right? And they only gave only one game, 1 point yesterday. Today the Devils, Pittsburgh lost again. The Pittsburgh. By score 2-1. The Devils beat the Pittsburgh 2-1 over there. Oh no, listen. Rangers, Pittsburgh back-to-back. Friday, Los Angeles Kings. Saturday night, the Boston Bruins.
Good luck with that.
All right. After that, the Tampa Bay Lightnings, the Sharks, all right, the Avalanche, the Minnesota, the St. Louis Blues, the Washington, and then they got a 3-game low. Nashville, Anaheim, Buffalo. Then they got the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Nashville again, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Chicago, Winnipeg Jet, Montreal, New Jersey, Detroit, Philadelphia, Toronto, Rangers, Toronto again. So it's not easy.
We knew that, Coach. Like we knew going into the second half. Like I think you probably even shared that chart where it was ranking the teams that had the toughest schedules, right? So I think Montreal was, I believe, number 2 on that list, if not number 1. And Florida was, I think, 3rd or 4th, or they were really high on the list of teams that had one of the toughest schedules going into the second half. So, can they sustain this level of play? They've been, I think Florida, like they just don't have the depth, right? So if anything goes wrong at all, like in their top 6, then they just don't have the players that can come in and backfill those kinds of roles, especially at defense, right? Like, and Ekblad, we know, like he's just not really the most durable guy, right? So I'd be nervous. Like I agree. Like it's a good point about the winning percentage. I didn't look at that, but it makes sense. But I feel like Habs fans, every time you see Florida put up a win, it's like come on, like
yeah, so right about that. Like yesterday, I was disappointed. Like I remember like I went to a mentorship every time that, and then one of my mentors was telling me like yes, you have to fake a smile, you have to shake their hands, but you don't have to say you love them, right? You can hate them, but you have to fake it, right? And I think it was you have to fake it to make it, and then that's the feeling I have yesterday, right? Yes, we win. Let's go. We had the Montreal Canadiens won tonight. But at the end of my heart, like that's not good.
No, because it's the Leafs, Coach. Like you can't like again, like they're gonna lose a lot of games still. But last night, again, Saturday night, it's the Leafs.
Well, I'm talking
Like
about the W
that's just
general. Like it's not about the
no,
last
no.
game.
I know, I know.
Another one that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
sad yesterday because the Florida Panthers beat the Minnesota Wild. Like this is not on my calendar. I can check all the box
no,
for
no,
Florida Panthers. This was a tough one to accept with
yeah.
With Lion and the between the pipe, and you lose, you win that game.
Did really
Uh,
well though. Like he played really well when he came in for Bobrovsky against
oh yeah.
Montreal. Like he made some huge saves.
Remember, if people talk about this game, Montreal did not play well, everything like that. But the save we make
First
against
period,
Cole
yeah,
Caufield and then a backdoor
yeah,
against Josh Anderson, at that time was zero
yeah,
zero. Everything could
yeah, yeah.
change at that moment.
Yeah.
So,
The only reason that game went off the rails, we talked about it this morning, is and again, this is the thing I really dislike about Anderson the most is he can be really yappy, right? Like, man, he just continues to complain and like yap at players, and he's not fighting as much as he used to, right? So that could become a problem for his reputation in the NHL over a long period of time here. But that's what, like, once in a while, I find that this team can lose its cool. And again, like we talked about this before, like, the leadership team and the bench coaches need to do a much better job of trying to rein that in and get them to under control. These are the great opportunities to really build that into the culture this year, going into next year. But yeah, like that game was not, like, that first period was actually pretty close, and it's very
back
disappointing
again
for that
about
game.
this, Marco. I think that game is a perfect example to learn when you lose a game
Yeah,
because you have so much controlling your emotion. Be aware what's going on with the ice and be smarter and zone coverage. I can go all the way like that. So I think it was a really good move about that one over there for that
yeah.
game. Back to Josh Anderson. Again, this is my opinion. It's not the people who have never heard that, everything like that. Josh Anderson, I don't know when. I tried to figure out. Remember, if he got a fight and he got hurt, and I don't know if last year or the year before that. And I
It
feel
was the
like
year
right
before.
now he knows something nobody knows. What are you talking about? I believe the Montreal Canadiens talk to him on the daily basis to explain to him because he have a clause on his contract. He can, he can pick team, he can go every time like that. I still Montreal Canadiens told him to be careful. You have to fight only if you have to fight. Otherwise, we don't want you to get hurt during the fight. And I think they are in negotiation to put Josh Anderson out of this on the trade deadline. And I think again, you cannot, but I think they mentioned to him, said, look, and I think for him, he doesn't want to get hurt on the fight. I think right now he felt the
Uh,
possibility to go that way over there, and you can see he have zero fight this year. He's not playing the physicality he was before in the past. And I think for me, he learned right now to say, wait a minute, I have to think about myself first before anything else. This is my perception of when you can see him. He stepped up against Toronto Maple Leaf. I gave it to you. But when you play hockey night in Canada, a Saturday night again at Toronto Maple Leaf, what you want to do as a player is to put a statement, and he can see right now he can get that one there. He went, as he said publicly, Marco, but as hockey players, you have a contract 5 years, whatever, $5.5 million, something like that. Do you want to stay with a team and rebuilding, or you want to go with a team can have a chance to win a Stanley Cup?
my opinion, I listen. It's a theory. I don't know if I think Anderson is. I mean, he's been pretty vocal that he was a Habs fan growing up and everything else. He seems to have some pretty tight relationships with Suzuki and Caulfield. Um, listen, it's not impossible.
I'm not saying
I just
he's
I
unhappy right now, right? I don't say he's like he wants to get out. It's not the point. There. It's just
Yeah,
question about the perception of the players.
whether Hughes, but yeah, but the whole idea of like Hughes going up to him and saying, "Listen, like." Because again, he was very open. Like he said that in his press conference, he talked about, I've had conversations with both Anderson and both Edmondson because their name is out there a lot. And I thought that was great. Like I think for sure, like first of all, it shows that they're monitoring kind of what's being said on social media and in the press, and they're proactively, care about the state of mind of their players and addressing them. So it's one thing to go to your player and say, listen, like I can't, if my plan is not to trade you, but everybody's tradable, right? So for the right offer, that might happen, but it's not something that I'm actively doing. That's a very different discussion. Last year, he went to Ben Sherratt and said, "We're going to move you. It's pretty sure that we're going to move you." But to go that extra step to say, "Listen, we're planning on moving you, so therefore don't fight, or we don't want you, like, you need to kind of save yourself out there. You're going to need," because as you know, coach, right? Like, as soon as you start to try and think out on the ice, like, okay, I'm not going to hit. I'm going to try not to be too physical. I'm going to try to not do that. That's when injuries actually happen, right? Like when you're trying not to get injured, like, that's when injuries really happen. So I would be surprised that they would be that direct and that specific about instructions to a player, because the game happens so fast, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you about that one. I just feel like Anderson is really careful right now to fight for some reason. I don't know. Could
I
be.
think it's more, my theory on that is, like, if you look at his stat line right now, to me it's just amazing that the guy never passes the puck. Never. Like, and we've talked about this before, right? Like, he has three different moves that he has, like, and you saw it last night. He'll cut to the net and shoot, or he'll shoot, and then he'll go around the net and shoot. But it's always shoot. It's, last night there was a couple of opportunities where he was going wide, and if he would have just passed the puck across the crease, then there was like open players on the other side, but he never passes. So he's like, in baseball, coach. I know you're not a big baseball fan, but they call it. They joke about players that, um, you know, in hockey that have only goals and no assists, because they call them like a Cy Young, right? Like where it looks like a Cy Young winner, like a pitcher. He has like more strikeouts and no balls, right? So for me, what I find interesting about Anderson is, if you look at his stats, he has way more goals, almost no assists, and his hits are way down. So that happens sometimes when you have physical players that kind of have a different vision or identity that for themselves than maybe the team has. So the team, they have a good idea of what they want him to do, but maybe he sees himself as a scorer, kind of like Pacioretty, right? We wish that Pacioretty would be more complete of a player when he was with Montreal, and when he wasn't scoring, that was my biggest criticism of him then. When he wasn't scoring, and that's going to happen to every scorer, you have the ability to help your team in other ways. So I think that's maybe more what we see with Anderson now, is he sees himself as a top six scoring winger, when in reality he's a power forward, which can score up to 20 to 25 goals, but really where he adds value is the physicality, speed, making space for his teammates. That's what he should be, right? But I think that's more the reason. I would be very surprised if it was as a result of the Canadians telling him to be careful. But I think that's what it is.
It's funny because
Just that.
uh, if they trade him at the trade deadline, right, they're going to get something good in return. A first round pick, a
Oh yeah,
goaltender, another prospect.
yeah,
They're going to be something good. But when he left the building, right, they can trade him, the next day, the Montreal Canadiens are looking out for another Josh Anderson in NHL. Like, that's happening that way, right? When you trade a player like this, like him, where the people are looking for him, many teams, but there are not many in NHL. But Montreal will have to figure out something else in the future to get another one over there. But I just
yeah,
want, I think we open the door to another direction. But we can talk a little bit more about Josh Anderson.
yeah.
We'll go to fire up some questions. Yeah, other people in the chat look like it's a very
Nice,
interesting people talk about. Does
nice.
Domi get trade if it's is where?
Well, man, like, if Chicago doesn't trade a guy like Domi, then what the hell are they doing, right? Like, they traded Doc and they traded DeBrincat. So Domi's had a surprisingly good season. Like, he's Domi. He's not the most consistent guy, but he had, he wasn't really that impactful for Carolina. He didn't get a lot of minutes in the playoffs or anything. But listen, like, he doesn't make a lot of money, so I think it's a very good pickup for. In theory, you think he's the kind of guy that would perform well in the playoffs, as we know in Montreal. He didn't really get the opportunity. I think he is Terrien that was still there, I think, at the time, and he played him on the, or was it Julien that was playing him on the fourth line when he was here? Is it Julien or Terrien when Domi was
Terrier.
here? I think it was Julien. Is it okay?
After that, he
So
got
yeah,
Julien
you know,
Baby, but Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's the
so
point
he
with
was
Max
playing on the
Domi.
fourth line.
The problem with Max Domi, if you rebuild a team, I don't think so. He's a perfect guy to be there. Well, when I said that, like Max Domi is not like a great teammate, like an amazing great teammate, right? He would not fit in the Martin Saint Louis train. I don't think so. He will fit there. But Max Domi fit in Chicago. I think he fit well over there. I'll be surprised they trade him because he's salary cap anyway, and his salary. But I think it would be better for him. I think he likes to play in Chicago for what we heard. And I think the team was easy. You have no pressure. You know what's going on. You have his time, play almost like a top line over there. I think that's what he is at his age. I would be not surprised if he stay over there. I don't be him. And the market is so big, it's a lot right now. And Dalmy is maybe on the third level of the trade
Oh yeah,
market.
like yeah. He's like again, he's not going to be a huge like I. He's somebody that you see traded at the very end when a team that's looking to add a little bit of depth missed out on plan A, plan B, plan C. So, but again, like somebody that can provide you a little bit of offense. I agree, coach, that he's probably not the most unanimous guy, but I think he's usually more popular with his team in the first year that he's there, right? But then after a while, once he gets more comfortable, that's when he starts maybe
Yeah,
having more of a negative impact. So you bring him in for a playoff run. He's not signed long term or anything, right? So if you can bring him in as a rental, then it might
that's
be
what
a
happened
nice
last year
little
with the
thing
Carolina Hurricane, but he didn't
with
have no
Carolina. Yeah,
impact with the fact he scored a goal.
but he scored.
He
He had
scored a
like
big
this one
goal at
game
the
where
game number five or
yeah,
six, but
yeah,
otherwise he was not like a big
yeah.
impact. So from
No, no,
that
no. So
possible, but depends the cost behind that one over there. We want
yeah,
to
it's a
welcome
depth
Nicolas de
thing.
Gobi Bono, Marco, and Fulden Donuts. He's in the house. Martin said we talk about the
Nice.
train. We talked about this earlier. About this, what do you think of the Vancouver Canucks? The talk about Bruce Goodrow. It's funny to talk about this because it was another subject on the show tonight, and Boudreau versus Rick Tocchet. So maybe give us a bit a resume what happening. Many knows already, but what do you think about
Yeah.
about that situation?
Yeah. So, well, for those of you who don't know, it's been a very, very open and not so, secret, process here that Vancouver, even back to the summer, like I don't even know how or why they brought him back. Like Jim Rutherford was pretty vocal that he was very non-committal to Bruce Boudreau this summer. So they brought in Boudreau last year, midway through the season and it was only as an interim basis, right? So they decide to bring him back. I'm not sure why. There's some theories there that Rutherford disagreed with Canucks ownership about the direction that they wanted to take for the team. The theory is that Rutherford wanted to, deconstruct the team this summer, but ownership didn't think that they wanted to do that. So he said, okay, well, you want to kind of use the team as is. Okay, well, let's bring back the coach. And it was kind of like almost a point that he was trying to make to ownership that he was right. So whatever the reason is, though, they bring him back, and I think everybody is unanimous in agreeing about how poorly this is managed over the last couple weeks, if not even last month. It was the worst kept secret in all of hockey that they were talking to Rick Tocchet. So even Jim Rutherford today, he finally came out and said, "I need to learn to keep my mouth shut." So at least I'll give him credit for that. But overall, this Vancouver Canucks management team, not a good start at all, man. Like, and it's not like this is a brand new management team. And, I think we all looked at it this summer and we're like, okay, like a really progressive hockey department. You got Cami Granado, fantastic female assistant GM, very progressive. They bring in Emily Castonguay, arguably somebody or reportedly someone that was going to be interviewed for the Montreal GM job. I believe that didn't happen, but everybody was talking about her as a candidate there. So good hire there, agent. So nice mix of people, but and then Alvin, he was an up and coming executive. So you have this great new management team, and then right away this season they had that weird situation with the video coach that they brought on. There was some type of workforce harassment accusation against Emily Castonguay. that was alleged that she was very cruel. This person was a person that had um, some type of disability, and they made it very clear that they had this disability when they applied for the job. And then all of a sudden, the Canucks were like, "Okay, we knew you had this disability, but we're going to let you go," or whatever. So they're being sued for that. That's not a good start. They have the situation where they go ahead and they sign Miller before their captain. And this, I remember we talked about this, coach, where we were surprised, like it took so long to sign Miller, and Rutherford seemed like, okay, he's not going to do that. And then Elliot Friedman even reported this. It was kind of just out of nowhere. They decided, you know what, we're just going to sign him. We're just going to do it. They just changed their mind and did it. But it's kind of like, you brought it up before, signing Tavares before you signed Marner and Matthews. It's kind of like an error in how you prioritize certain, projects or certain, files that you have on your desk. So again, another error there, like not prioritizing Horvat. And then you have Miller, who's had an awful season and arguably, a really bad two-way player right now this year. Like, if you go on Twitter and look at some of the videos that people are sharing about how lazy he can be back checking. So you have that. That starts off not very good. And then again, like then you have the Brock Besser thing, and they're yo-yoing their young players. Paul Colson and Hoglander is up and down all year. We should really bring back Will, that we had earlier in the year, because I'm sure he's not been enjoying this season of the Vancouver Canucks, because it's just an absolute tire fire. It's just unbelievable. But the positive thing about this is the fan reaction that's Bruce got. Bruce, say what you want about Bruce Boudreau. There's reports that he's been, I think Jose Theodore has talked about how he seems like a nice guy, but he can be very tough on goalies. So, but bottom line is, this is a relationship business, right? Like if you're Rick Tocchet, are you a bit nervous walking into this new job? Like it's kind of like if you meet this woman and like your girlfriend, and the when you met her, she was with another guy and she cheated on you, cheated on her husband to be with you. Well, now that she's with you, like, are you a little bit nervous about whether she's going to be loyal to you, right? So it's kind of one of those things, right? Like, it's not a good impression that this management team is making. And Bruce Boudreau, he's had a tough go. I'm sure he's just relieved that it's over at this point. I'm not sure he'll get another coaching opportunity. So it's a pretty tough thing for him. Hopefully, he can
That's
land
over
back
for
in the
him.
league. And yeah, but maybe you can get another type of role, like as a consultant or something like that.
Or
Like,
an advisor or
who
something like
knows?
that. Like, but yeah,
Yeah,
expect to be
but
coach
not
the
behind it.
junior team in Minnesota or the USPHL. But
Something like that.
subject. Look,
Yeah.
the radio or the TV opened the door for him. He was born with passion about hockey. I worked with him 3 years with Mississippi. He was not the same Boudreau you see today, like he was like 25 years ago, maybe 24. He learned from nothing, and then and everywhere he won, he won the cup. Like everywhere he been, the only thing he
Yeah.
didn't win is the Stanley Cup. But he's been always. But I think behind the door, he's a human being. He's tough, he's demanding, but he have a big heart. Like I've been to the meeting with Bob Woods, and it's him every time. That look what he said yesterday, right? It would be stupid. He said stupid if they don't keep the staff we have right now, because those guys work their ass off every single day, and so that's what you think always about other people, and that's what Boudreau is, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, I call this the Canucks real house wife situation with the Vancouver Canucks, and
We
we
were
can go
joking
all the way
around
like
that
that.
the Habs is we were joking around that the Habs are a soap opera, but this morning on Habs brunch. But yeah, like this is really soap opera type stuff.
Here we go, Mr. Luke. Welcome aboard. Thanks to be with us. Yes, that's what we are, and the people see that we are really behind right now. But we want to welcome Mr. Luke, who should be the next forward call up if you need. It's easy. For me, it's Anthony Richard. If you have a call up, that will be the next one. If they need one, I think it will be
There's
the right
very
one
little down
above
there
that
now,
one.
right? Like
Yeah.
if I think Mishak is injured, right? So that would be interesting to see him. I don't know if I haven't really seen him play, but I think he's been injured so much.
And at that, are there tall players who are smaller?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you could say Kakanyemi is tall, but he's like that that car salesman lot there where the floating guy is moving a lot, like he's just not very stable. So yeah, you can have tall people that are not very strong, right? So I really believe there's a difference between small and short. You can be shorter but still very strong.
Yeah, we want to welcome Luciano Graziano and Ron with Kings 20. Welcome both of you. Thanks to be with us tonight. John said, I heard Josh have this surgery. Josh Anderson, yes, you're absolutely right about that one over there. I agree about this. As well. Randy Walkman, Mr. Marco is in the house
Hey,
from Alberta. Thanks
Randy.
so much to be with us. Our friend THG is in the house, a big friend of the Montreal, but the New
Sir.
York Islanders.
Yeah.
He was at the show this morning with us,
Yeah. Great.
talking about the Montreal Canadiens. So it was great to see that. And then Randy talked about the Canucks. And then I try to phrase we have other question about this. I love when the people talk each other, so that's great to see
Yeah.
that. They have a good conversation with there, so I just try to get there. Alan Barnes from Facebook is in the house. Alan Barnes, a big
Hey.
fan of the Hockey Nation Live show.
Sure.
Thanks to be with us. Les Hoffman and a tough for players. Batman step up and Sutter remove for NHL. Ellen Keeve, I hate the leave with the
Oh,
Avery
Ellen.
Fabers on my bin. Ab beat the leave is always a big W for me. Uh,
Yes.
well said. What you can say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean. Um, yeah, absolutely
Leading the
about that
Leafs in
one
stuff.
there. I'm watching the QM
Absolutely.
right now. Most important, we said that because let put that question there because I put this one over there and we talk about other subject. But what I would say to you, who was be the most improving players you think?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a good, like, it's a good list of them. I'd say Montembeault is right there for sure. Like, people, sometimes, when you watch the Toronto media that's covering some, like, I don't know if you saw the Hockey Night in Canada coverage, but they're looking at Montembeault and they just looked at the game in Florida and they're like, well, Montembeault is coming off, like a 4 game really tough performance, and they didn't bother to look at his overall stats in the last 8 games where he has like a 934 save percentage, right? So, what you have to remember about Montembeault is that he had that little tough stretch, but then at the beginning of the season, so he's had two really strong long stretches of really good play, right? So continuous improvement there. Doc for sure, like year over year, there was a lot of concerns with him in Chicago last year, which is arguably, I guess, why they decided to move him. But I'd say, Coach, you would agree, right? The last 5 games since he's been at center again, just like really turning it up another notch. That game against Toronto, I think it was an even bigger notch. Cindy Wee talked about it in his press conference. It's kind of like a teenager who's just growing into his body and he's just learning what he can do with it, right? Like out there, right? It's almost fun to watch him discover what he can do out there. It's so exciting to watch. It's like watching a little deer who's like all shaky and he's now able to, it's very cool. And if he can continue to progress like that, like on est en voiture, on est en voiture, ça c'est sûr. So very exciting about Doc. And total improvement, like we talked about it a bit this morning. So I was a little, anxious about Barron when he first came back. He had a good first game and then struggled for, maybe a set of like 3 to 4 games, but he settled in really nicely. Like as the team, as Martin Saint Louis got the team to kind of focus in on a better team defensive game, he's fit in really nicely into that. You can tell he needs that structure maybe, right? So really good improvement from him. Um, and there's so many, right? Because we have so many young players. Like you can't even mention Gooley. Like we're forgetting that Gooley was like blowing us all away at the beginning of the season, right? But um, yeah, I don't know if I would call him as improved because he just started off just so solid, right? So So many good candidates in terms of improvement. I'd say those would be my top ones. What about you, Coach?
Yeah, that's great selection. Doc, we said Doc and Montembeau already the one step up more, or Ice, right? Byron
Definitely.
has been there because what he's just a couple of games, but I think uh, progression and improvement, but also with no expectation. The way he play is Kellen Cody for me. Kellen
Yeah.
Cody he's always become better and better and better every time we play. Like, if you can see
Yeah.
progression and improvement, I think Kellen Cody could be on that list.
Yeah.
Other players
I
I
think you should
just
mention
mentioned too.
Jack too. Jack too, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah.
On that one, we want to welcome WST is in the house. A lot of people talk about Baron and then Anderson in the chat, so that's great to see that. Bit that weak team. Anderson is like a racehorse, a straight line to the goalie. And the people talk who bring you a greater return, Anderson or Manan?
You'd have to imagine it's Anderson, just because the team that would be investing in him would be doing it for the long term, right? So Monahan, you just have a little bit of that uncertainty still with the injury. Um, so if I had to guess, I would imagine it would be Anderson, but I think the market to acquire him will be more narrow than it will be for Monahan. So Monahan, there might be more teams that are in on him, but the teams that are willing to fit Anderson in would be willing to pay a bigger price because of how important that kind of piece would be for their the long term or I guess kind of strategy they have for their team.
Yeah. Um, I think for me, Anderson will go there before Manen because the injuries, and the net knows what after, right? And if it's a rental players or is it a long term players? Like with Anderson, you got him for 4 more extra years or 5 more
Yeah,
years, right?
yeah.
And Manen, you
Yeah.
don't know. So that will be a little bit about that. As a return, I will give a little bit more advantage Anderson in my eyes.
But I think Edmondson would give them more than both of those. I think Edmondson is the most valuable trade piece
Yeah.
above those guys.
Yep. Uh, and I talk good wait about this. Monahan for Gary talk about Monahan. Nicholas, I agree on the intensity thing with Anderson. He does not what he does, what he does, but he's pretty good at it. But he does not really fit Martin still. I think about that. Whatsoever, I have to give credit. He learned to play other ways. Like he was really a one-way
Really?
player. Now he learned to be more holding the puck more, looking more, coming back all the
I
way
haven't seen
up,
any
and
difference.
then right back down.
He was doing
Um,
that last year. I haven't seen any. I'm surprised that I haven't noticed any difference in his play at all.
oh yeah,
Like
oh yeah,
like I said,
oh
he,
yeah. He scored 3
I
goals
haven't.
right now from the blue line.
That's fine. I've seen him do that last year. Like I said, he's got three moves, coach. One, he comes in on the side, cuts to the net. That's one move. The other one is just shoot from the wing and not cut in. The other move is fake that he's going to shoot, go around the net into the slot and shoot. Those are the three moves.
Yeah,
He's
but
got
he
three
cut back
moves. That's all
more.
he
Like
does.
he never cut back before. Martin Louis showed to him to not go straight to the line anymore, but to go now to the board and come back all the way up and to come back down after that. Like Nick Zuki does all the time on power play. They reset up and they come back
But
down.
the
You
but,
got 3, 4 goals
but the
from him. He
problem
never do
but
that
here's the
before.
difference. But here's the difference. When a player like Suzuki does something like that, there's the key part of it is deception, right? The whole point of making a move like that is you want the team to think that you're going to do something, but then do something else that's going to surprise them, right? The thing is that everybody in the NHL knows exactly what Anderson is going to do all the time. He has zero deception. Remember, the thing that we
Yeah,
love the
because
most about,
he's limited by his hands. That's the reason why.
yeah, well, no, it's his brain. I'm not saying he's not a smart guy, but
No,
his hockey
I
IQ,
when I
he
said
doesn't have
brain,
that
I would
vision.
said vision.
Yeah, that's part of, to me, brain means, and vision. Hockey IQ is as you have your vision and you're able to see different options and try to think two
Yeah,
moves ahead about, okay, this player is going to
hockey
do that.
sense, and maybe the right
IQ.
was to compare to the brain, like you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you about
Yeah.
that one. There's like, usually
Yeah.
vision, hockey sense, it's most like works together, right? About that one over there. So a
Yeah.
few people talk about something in the chat. You talk about a lot of Sutter in the chat. That's great to see that. Tommy continues the conversation here. We don't have, try to get if we have any question we got here. We have another question from in our tap. What do you think about Kane and Tays giving Chicago a date or mid-February about the decision to stay or go? What do you think it is great, agreed to be traded?
Yeah. So I think originally people thought that they were going to give their answers like right after Christmas in January. So it looks like they've delayed their timeline. I think you probably saw the same report that I did from Elliot Friedman on that one, which is I think because the playoff race is so different from last year. Last year, I think the top 8 teams in both conferences were pretty much already decided by this time of year, right? While this year it's very much the opposite. So I think they're waiting to see which teams are really going to kind of be favorites. So I think that's one element of it. And I'm not really sure. Like I have a sense that uh, maybe it doesn't happen this year. Like for Habs fans' sake, I know we always make this about the Habs. It would be great if Jonathan Taves doesn't get traded because that's one less team, one more team that might need a Sean Monahan, right? But I get a feeling that if I was to guess that teams are definitely going to be aggressive on Patrick Kane because he's way more of an impact player than Jonathan Taves is. But we'll have to see. Like really, they hold all the cards, right? Like Chicago has no say really into what's going to happen. It's a pretty tough position for them to be in, to be honest.
Yeah, first of all, I would say to that trade, I would be honestly, the health of Patrick Kane is going to be a really big major role about that. We talk about Caufield and shoulder. Now we talk about Patrick Kane hip, and he's a reevaluate every game he play, everything like that. So is it a team who want to take a risk to pay a first round pick and plus XX to get a player at 50%? That will be my only concern about Patrick Kane. I see Jonathan Taves get traded at some point, and then it'll be interesting. Now, here's the key behind that, and I will flat that question to people in the chat about this. Do you trade both of them without knowing possibly Connor Bedard's coming now next year, and you have nobody to play the role model for him or to teaching him to adapt in the NHL on many ways, like the tradition of what they are, or you keep at least a player like Patrick Kane, and then you keep him, and then role model Connor Bedard, or the next player could be Leo Carlson or Fantilli, whatever they are, and to keep that role to learning about the Blackhawks culture, brand, blah, everything like that. Open up to your best player and your organization and let him go. For me, I think they will wait one more year. Patrick Kane is going to resign with Chicago with one more year contract. And then after that, it could be traded at the trade line next year when he's going to be recovery at 100%.
It's possible. Like, listen, I think I would put so the Vancouver Canucks rank number 1 in tire fire and like just weird decisions, and then Chicago is like in that mix like underneath Vancouver, right? Like I think
I
we
think they did
understand.
a
Like
good
I
job.
think
I think people don't give credit a lot about Carl Davidson.
I don't think I don't like what they did, to be honest. Like it's
I
one thing.
disagree with
I
you. I
just
will
don't
tell you
like it.
why. I will tell you why.
Okay.
Everybody works with Chicago has been players it been involved with what happening in 2010, 2011. What they try to do is clean up everything to restart from the bottom. They know they have no chance to
Kirby
go where
Doc,
they at anymore. So what they
Kirby
did,
Doc, and
they pick up
Frankie.
the pick exactly what Arizona did, and you get solid players on and they are a 3-plan one. Now you look about the draft last year, look the draft next year, this year, and look the draft next year, and that way have to go hard. But I think he did very good. People complaining about the trade they bring Cat and Doc and Jill. But again, at the end of the day, that's the only way they can rebuild. And they know they have a chance right now to get one of the top generational players like they did with Patrick Kane, Jonathan Tace, that's the part of their plans. Like, if you want
So
to get
I
Bedard, if you want to get Carson, Fantilli, Mitchkov, that's exactly what they have to do.
there's
And
no
that
guarantee that they're going to get him though. There's no guarantee that they're going to get him. I like again, like I don't have a problem with the team choosing to rebuild and do it. But the way that they did it, I find is a little too aggressive in the sense that you have these two young assets. What message are you sending to players that are right behind them, about the future of that organization, right? Like, um, I just don't like the message that it sends to young players that are in your pipeline right now. And I don't like how are Doc and DeBrincat related to the terrible actions that happened during the Stanley Cup run that they had with
but they got
Kenville
Doc
and
at the
Taves
13th
and
overall pick. They got
oh, but
Mazar.
he wasn't around.
Nazar. It's a
He
great
had
hockey
nothing
player.
to
He's going to
do.
be in NHL the next 3-4
Yeah,
years.
I love
Then you got
for sure.
Kocheski about this. And then for the Brinkat, they got a first round pick for 2023, where it's going to be a solid pick. It's coming now. So if you think about
Yeah,
this, I think they did the right thing. And that would cost to get the Brinkat $9 million, where a team are rebuilding. It's not what you want to build a team. Once you figure out the Brinkat will be 29 years old, and at that age, it would not be the right time. What they're going to be, they're better to get a rebuilding from the scratch. I don't say right or wrong, but I just said for me,
but
we have to do it. I think they
but to
did
your
a good
point,
job about that one over there. I think we don't give
well,
enough
to your
credit for
point though,
Davidson.
but to your point though, so if you really want to disengage yourself from that really shitty time where, because let's be honest, Taves and Kane were core members of that team, that we'll never know 100% sure if they knew what was going on with the allegations that happened there at that time. But it's really hard to live in a world where you think they did know something was wrong, right? But
Yeah.
everybody was focused on winning a cup. So if you really want, do you really want those guys? And again, I might get some heat for this. Like I know Jonathan Taves is a very respected player, and so is Kane. Like Kane's had a bit more of a checkered past, but if you're Chicago, like you really want to move on from that entire thing, and that sucks because like let's be honest, that was a dynasty, right? Like winning three cups in like 6 years or whatever it was. That's as close to you get as a dynasty, like Tampa, right? So sad to say, but I wouldn't want that. Not that I think Taves couldn't do a good job of mentoring somebody like Bedard, but just from an optics perspective, you want a clean break. So that would be logical for them to move on from them, but I'm not sure if Taves and Kane at this point want to. How motivated are they to go on
Well,
another run?
at the end of the day, they're not going to sign him after that. So they may be stuck there for 3 more months. But at the end of the year, so buddy, hey, we'll let you go. That's it. Like at some point, you're going to separate whatever the player does not want to go or not.
Yeah, we'll see. Should be interesting. Like I, in a way though, I'm still rooting for them not to win the lottery because just like total tanking like that, like it's I don't know.
I'm going to open another subject. We're not going to talk about this yet. Maybe another time.
Okay,
Between Columbus, between Arizona, between Anaheim, between Chicago, which market is the most preferable for the NHL to have a Connor
for
Bedard?
the NHL, I would probably it's got to be
Is
I think it's got to
Chicago?
be Arizona.
Is Chicago?
No, I don't think.
On the
I don't
TV
agree.
market, on everything,
I know,
it's Chicago. You're going
I
to
know.
see Chicago
It's
on the
the
Hockey Night in Canada. You're going to see Chicago on ESPN. You're going to see Chicago on TNT. And that would be all the way with that part over there. You're not going to see a Bedard go on the West Coast of Arizona. They start the game too late, and the Western people cannot see that. I'm talking about the perfect match for the business side for the NHL is to get Bedard on the East Coast or on the team like that. If not, a Bedard and Los Angeles King with that area, California, it's hard for them to promote.
the worst would be Columbus. I don't know, like, but Columbus is a good hockey market, but
Cannabis is okay, but not national.
no, no, no.
It's an excellent, like you have a tradition about the Chicago, a six original team, and I can go all the way like that. I was just talking about the marketing
The
business.
best
I'm
place
not
would
talking
it's
about,
Montreal. No, it's got
the
to be
team
Montreal.
have to get that one. About
It's
that
got to
one
be
with it.
Montreal.
Main Goal Hockey, welcome aboard. Thanks to be with the Hockey Nation live show tonight. The conversation continues in the chat. Did you see the press conference with Tarket for Evan today? Body language
I
is
missed that.
all for an attack. Brent Boudreau to the AB. Mentor, him out about this. Get up to her. By the way, Boudreau looking beyond that radio
No,
on TV. About this, would you heard Boudreau, Montreal assistant coach, is willing to be an assistant?
no thanks.
No, not
He's
my
not
eyes.
like no. He's not the right compliment for Saint Louis, right? Like no.
I cannot wait to get living betting tip for pockets for targets. About this phrase, pray for the target. Coach is I was right with the Miller coach. About Judy Miller, that's a big problem. Go over there. I agree with you, Randy. One tragic drama, soap opera. I will bring Boudreau with the AB assistant coach Gary Cournoyer. I disagree with that. Me.
Yeah.
Some are born to be head coach, and some are born to be assistant coach. And Boudreau is not an assistant coach. Now, he's an advisor, could become an advisor for any team. It's like, I will give you another example. Barry Trotz, Marco. You're not going to see Barry Trotz an assistant coach.
Yeah,
It's not who
you
he
might not
is.
even see him as a head coach anymore. I think he wants to be a GM or he wants to coach the Leafs. That's I think his career
Uh,
path is a lot more narrow.
I agree with you about this. Which team do you think the Edmondson at the deadline?
Well, I think we've heard about Edmonton a lot. Uh, we've we've been talking about like remember that show we did when Toronto was losing and they were going to miss the playoffs. I think back then we were saying they would definitely benefit from a player like Edmondson, a strong, mean. I think the main thing the Leafs are missing is a mean defenseman, so that would be a good fit there. Um, I think those are really the two biggest targets that I think that would fit for Edmonton.
Yeah, that's something people talk about Edmondson over the Oilers or Edmonton Oilers would have part over there. Um,
Hmm?
the team get him, have to get him for 2 years for
Yeah.
$3.5 million. I don't know. Yeah, the team need money for sure. Sorry, cap. Or be, I don't have no other effect. Edmonton Oilers right now. That's where they be 18 on that. I don't know if the Rangers can go that direction.
He would look good in Boston. Boston. I think he would be a nice fit there too.
Yeah, but they have too many defensemen to use
They
over
don't have
there.
they don't have that many mean guys, right? Like it's the Bruins, right? Like they have a lot of like they have like what's his name there, Gretzlick and players like that. Like they're good puck moving defensemen, but you figure they'd want like a mean ass 6'4" guy, to play. So I don't know. I just see him. He would be a really good Boston Bruin, but
Absolutely right. We welcome Mr. Brand New in the house. Welcome back. And then talk about this Pittsburgh Canucks now, not the Vancouver Canucks. About that, what she said. They talk about football, so there you go. Then touch Harris way too much thought, but that not. I don't know about this one. I like Anderson would be benefit for a move. William McClary talk about man is a sound as everyone want. Randy Walkman talk about this. 100% we said yes, but I'm not sure if he's right. I love Montembeau, but Primo need to get ice time. It's not good for him to sitting, not good for his development, Ellen.
yeah, like I think we talked about this, Coach. To me, it's shocking that they need to move like right now. The reason that we don't even have 4 goalies signed to NHL contracts. That's kind of bush league, like there should be another goaltender that's signed in Laval that can come up in this situation and ride the pine and just be sitting on the bench as a backup. Primo should be in Laval playing right now. There's no question about that. So why is it that we have what do we have, like 400 like left-hand defensemen in our organization? Can we like move one of those guys that we know has no chance of ever playing for Montreal and just move him for nothing so that you can free up one of those contracts and just go sign if it's Poulain that's already down there, but just sign him to an NHL contract so that way in this situation where Allen is hurt or if Montembeault is hurt, Primo can continue to stay and play in Laval, and then you can have somebody come in and back up. To me, it is a terrible. I don't like the way that they're handling it at all. I agree with Ellen 100%.
There was the plan about this one over there, but I think the way they figure out it was a short term. I think they got stuck. I think they thought Jake Allen was going to be back really quicker, so it wasn't like more like for 1 game or 2 game. About this now, it become like more like a 2 weeks. With the Montreal Canadiens.
This is the whole season. Like you went into the season with only 3 NHL goaltenders that are signed. So you have like there's no excuse. Like how many? It would be an interesting exercise, coach. Like how many NHL teams only have 3 NHL goalies signed?
Oh, they have more.
I don't know.
They have Tichot. They have Dorbes is coming very soon.
They're not signed to. I mean, they're not signed to NHL contracts. That's what I mean. You can't bring them up. So it would be very interesting to find how many NHL teams only have 3 goalies in their system that are signed to NHL contracts.
But they have not much, not many. I will tell you why. Because they have only 50 contracts per team, and they cannot consider more as 6 goalies to get a contract there. That would drop them at 44. So what do you do usually? You have the 2 goalies there, and they maybe get 2 more after that, and that's it. Like you go with Buffalo, Levi, and Portillo is not signed with that. They are only looking in about that.
I get it. Well, that's what we're saying the same thing. So we have, I'm gonna guess here, 15 to 20, whatever, like left-handed defensemen. As like it would be interesting to break down all of the contracts that are within our 50. We're too loaded on left-handed defensemen. So I'm saying pick the one that's at the bottom of the depth chart that you know is never going to play, that's signed to an NHL contract. Get rid of him for pucks. It doesn't really matter.
Again, I will say to you, like they have maybe 10 or 12 left defensemen, but they all play with Montreal, they play with Laval Rocket.
Yeah, but you have too many. But that bottom line is the whole question started here with, okay, so Primo for his development needs to play, right? So having him sit on the bench for 7 games here and come up and play backup for 1 period or whatever is not the right way to do it. The plan for him this year, they said it at the beginning of the year, they wanted him to play out in Laval. Just laisse-les tranquille, va-t'en jouer à Laval, that's it. But in order to do that, you need to have a 4th body that's signed to an NHL contract. To me, it's worth sacrificing 1 player at the bottom of the totem pole that you know is.
Well, but they could call up Poulain.
No, they can't. No, he doesn't have an NHL contract. They can't call him up.
They could call up Joe Verbidis.
No, he doesn't have an NHL contract. You need an NHL contract
is not on their list.
No, that's what I'm saying is that there's Primo, Allen, and Montembeault. Those are the only 3 goalies that that are signed to NHL contracts with the Montreal Canadiens. To me, that's negligence for Primo, because if you had a 4th one, they have Poulain that's playing in Laval, right? So he should be signed to an NHL contract, but they haven't because they're dangerously close to that 50 contract limit, like you said. So to me, that's what I mean. It's mismanaging your assets. There's only so many contracts that you have. So we have too many left-handed defensemen in our system and only 3 NHL level goalies. That's a problem. And it's completely, in my opinion, not benefiting Primo at all. So I don't agree with how they manage it at all.
But they have 47 plus sign.
Yeah, so I think that's a very fair question. Like if I was maybe we'll tell Kagan next time
Well, you
she's
have another player. You have
you know,
Carey Price with that one.
yeah, yeah, I guess. So again, you have that limit of 50 contracts, but
Yeah. So
that is a big
honestly, you have
problem.
4 goalies, and the organization sign up.
But only three can play in the NHL because Poulin is not signed to
No,
a
no, I'm
two-way
talking
deal. He's
about
signed to
Montembeau, Allen,
yeah,
Carey Price, um,
yeah. Carey Price for sure. But there's only
and
three that
Primo.
can actually play.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's my because you have to count him on on the 50. But yeah, that's a point, a
yeah.
good point
Technically,
about
they have
that
four.
one over there for sure. Um, to get that, we have this one. The question was going. I was going to talk about this later, but we can duck this. I hope Eiserman plan trade either Larkin, Bertuzzi, or both. Claim the slate too bad, and to Cup contract is too high. Arizona don't make a lot of mistake, but I think he make a big mistake signing Andrew Cup and he signed Ben Chariot. It's sad because it takes time to build build a team. You don't take a time to destroy a team on your plan or back. You know, like if you go forward for 4 years, then too bad signature drop you for 2 years behind. And I feel like Savers and Men obviously with that make a problem there.
Uh, I don't know. So I don't know about trading Larkin and Bertuzzi. To me, you know, Iserman is announcing to the NHL that okay, guys, we're ready to take a next step here. We might not make the playoffs, but we want to play meaningful games towards the end of the year. Now, yeah, they've had a bit of a tough stretch. They had a decent start, but definitely things have been teetering since then, right? So you can argue, whether they should resign Larkin or if maybe they go a different direction, but I don't think they're at the point in their development as a team where they're flipping assets for prospects or picks. Like clearly the plan is to start putting together a team that's going to start competing here, which is why why would you wait all those years, and not change your coach? Like to me, the biggest signal that Iserman was ready to turn the page and be competitive is that he hired a new coach. He finally changed coaches, and to me, that was the biggest sign. So listen,
I
like
think they will
Andrew
trade
Kopp is
Bertuzzi. I think they will keep Larkin.
okay. So why would you trade Bertuzzi though? Just because he's not been super reliable, um,
Well,
everybody wants a
injury for the
Bertuzzi.
last 4 years, right? He's always an injury
Yeah,
prone about that, and it would cost you a minimum
yeah,
$5.5 million. As this year, he play only 15 games. You have a good year, but he's a guy. He scored 30 goals last year. I agree with you, but if you look about 5 years before that, he scored 20 goals, 21 goals, and is an average. So when you talk about Bertuzzi, equal Josh Anderson.
I don't know, man. So if you're
I'm
just
talking
looking at
about the
goals,
result at the end of the day. I'm talking about the way they play. Like it's 2-4 checker.
ah,
They play hard on the them over there. And the only thing I would say to you, Bertuzzi get a little bit more point assists, but he play on the top line
yeah,
usually with Larkin, everything like that. So that give him a little bit advantage. But if you talk
but
about the player was a four checker, a very hard on the physicality, pick up the puck and protect the puck, everything like that. I think Pelletier is a kind of player like a little bit like Josh Anderson. My point with Josh Anderson, they both run a $5.5 million. Are you willing to give that kind of money to him? That would be the biggest problem
yeah,
with them.
I would happily do that for a player like that. But I don't view them the same. Yes, to me, there's a difference between somebody who is a forechecker, but Bertuzzi plays with snarl. Like he plays with, he has an attitude, right? Like he can get under your skin. Josh Anderson, to me, he's big, he's strong, and when he decides to play physical, he's very effective, and he can score. Sometimes he's not almost the most accurate with his shot, but he has a good shot, and then he can score goals. Bertuzzi to me is a more complete player. Like you were saying, just look at his assists, and just look at the impact that he has on the ice. Like I think he can play with elite players more effectively than Anderson can. So if you were offering me Anderson or Bertuzzi, to me, like Bertuzzi, is a Marchand, a Brad Marchand
Oh,
light.
no, no,
He's
no,
not
no.
gonna
No,
Brad
no, no.
Marchand light. Absolutely,
No, no, no.
absolutely.
Hey, Marchand, you talk
Left hand
about a
shot.
super,
eh,
you talk about an elite players. Marchand, a
I said
90
light.
point per
I said
season,
light.
85 point per
I said
season.
light. I'm not saying he's Marchand. He's a Marchand light, meaning he's not going to produce as much. He's not as good as Marchand, but he's in. I would compare him to Marchand more than I compare him to Anderson. Anderson is a power forward, power horse, right? Bertuzzi is a pain in the ass. Is probably the best way to put it. A pain in the ass that can actually score points,
I would
plays
not
the right
sign him
way.
a year free at $6 million. Me, I will give you an example. One year he played 48 games. Next year 73. The following year a 21 game. Then he plays
Okay,
60
yeah,
after that, 9 games, 68 game. Now this year 50 game. He have only one goal this year. You trade him if you
yeah,
get a first round pick that open up a spot to give away a $6 million for 5 years. He will request anyway. And now you have Soderblom, you have Rasmussen. They have a lot of rookies coming down at the bottom about that one there. And that would be the
yeah,
best way to get that one for me. It'll be the best way to do that.
yeah. Durability, there's no question. That's a concern. So you got me on that one. But again,
They at
you
least
got me
16-1
when you're
Pertuzzi.
comparing Anderson to like,
They have 16-1 to get as good as
I
I
agree.
can have for one cup, three
I agree.
centers. Monen is a good used car, good enough for one cup right for center number 3. About this one over there. Marco Anderson is a rare bread. Stop it. About Josh Anderson. Coach, you are forgetting he's never passed. He has full move. Tire not. They are the same move. I don't talk about passing. I talk about the fact he progressed better what he was under Martin St. Louis like he was before. Before that, he was just a north-south player. He was coming from the right to the left. He's coming for his backhand cut and from the net. He tried to score like this. It was always been that way. And what he developed him is to cut back on the wall and to go back to the goal line, go all the way up to the blue line, and he come back down that way. That's what the one
Yeah,
improvement. What Martin, so we talk all the time about Josh Anderson to become more a S-West players, a East-West, at not only a North-South, and not skating
I would
fast
say.
like he was. So what he tried to do is slow the game, but play the game
I
smarter.
would say.
That's what he
Yeah.
teach him.
I've heard all the same things that you've heard. I've heard Martin Saint Louis say it. I just don't see it. Like, yes, has
I
he
see a
done it?
call. He's not going to become an expert, but I see he's changed. Look, he have already like 14, 50 goals this season about that. And again, reason why, because he scores for the 35 feet and he never scored those area usually. He never scored over 20 feet. He's always scoring from the net most of his goal. I just said now he become
I don't know.
an amazing great player. I just said his improvement is there compared was before that. That's my only point. Is it 60%, 90%? No. But you can see under Martin St. Louis, he's developing better as a progression as a hockey player. Again, you have a lot of work to do. And again, when you have no hands and your vision is limited and your IQ is limited, you cannot become a scorer 35 goal with 30 assists like Pertuzzi did last year with the Detroit Red Wings, for sure.
Let me just respond to Ellen real quick though, because I want to be clear. Like, I'm not saying that Anderson isn't a good player. He's a very good player. I just feel that, for like when I hear that, like that, I just don't feel he's a top six player. I think he'd be an elite player to play on a third line and on a team that can afford to pay him what he's getting paid. Then fantastic. I just don't think that he's in a pinch, like he'll be able to play in your top six, right? But I just don't see in the long term that he's gonna be able to do that.
Canada is a bit on for power forward without Pelletier, William McClary. It's a team either off the first round for Anderson. Bye bye. If a team offer a first round for Anderson, here where the reason I did last week, I trade Josh Anderson for the New Jersey Devils. You get a first round pick, you get the goaltender Nico Da, or you get the goaltender Schmidt in return, and you can maybe package deal and you get the defenseman Medellin, whatever his last name for the Richard.
Macabadou and yeah,
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 you
yeah.
put all three together. Now, Anderson maybe not good enough. You can add another one, Riley Kidney or something like that, and then you can get the right defenseman. You get a 22 years old goaltender. You get a first round pick would be a 29, 28, 27 or whatever it is, and then you trade a 5.5 contract for 5 years, and that's give the solution of the New Jersey Devil. They don't have no strong forward challenging for the playoff. They don't have. The Devil not going to go much in the playoff until they don't get a player like Anderson or a Coleman, a Nick Paul, a big, strong winger. Nick Paul is a center, but more like because they don't have that. It's not Jack Hughes. It's not just Brad. It's whatever Charakovich is 6'3". It's not a physical defense winger. It's not Dawson Mercer over there. They have only one the player similar to him, but they play the four line is Bastian, Wood, and McLeod. But I think Josh Anderson, like you're not going to win with Thomas Tatar anyway.
No,
So
that's for sure.
and if you think about
I
this,
agree, Coach.
it's a good fit over there. Now the packaging can then mix up over there, but I think for me, the New Jersey Devils should be think about a guy like Josh Anderson. And again, it could be another another player like him in the NHL, like Pelletier, whatever he is. But they need a better, stronger winger if they want to go to playoff deeper. If not those, you know how it works. Marco Tampa Bay did it, and that's what you need at the end of the day. And
the center of the ice is going to be completely shut down. So yeah, I think New Jersey is an ideal trading partner for Josh Anderson. I still think Calgary. I don't know. Like if they're not going to be maybe Pelletier now, since he's not off to the best start with his relationship with Sutter. Maybe that's an asset they would put on the table.
But I don't want to compare Anderson with Evander Kane. But when Evander Kane's come to you in the corner, you're going to pass the puck quicker. That's what Anderson do again the Toronto Maple Leafs during the playoff 2 years ago.
Last night, for sure.
You know what I mean? So when you go to the playoff, that's why you're looking at a guy like that. Again, I'm not going to say him to Kane a lot. Why is your full trade, Mr. Marco, so far? Salary cap or parity?
I don't think it's parity. Like I think it's definitely salary cap. 100%. Full stop. There are maybe some teams that still are hanging on in the picture a little bit longer. So, but I think if there was the opportunity, we would have seen more moves if it wasn't for the salary cap.
Yeah, about that one over there. About this, could be Tasha, but all to be parade bit of the claim. It's funny because people, if you make a one mistake after that, and then you stuck with that rest of your career about this, people talk about the fact like Patrick Kane is not a role model. But look about Patrick Kane, about he's maybe one of the best right winger in NHL. And Patrick Kane.
So what does performance have to do with being a good person? Like you could be a total trash of a human. I'm not saying he is a trash of a human being, but you could be a terrible human being and score 100 points in the NHL. Those two things have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, but what look about Patrick Kane since 2012. What kind of behavior he did off ice? Very bad.
Well, okay. What I was trying to cover earlier, Coach, is you were putting forward the idea that Chicago wants to cut themselves entirely from that past with the terrible things.
For me, is a move like I was said to you is a like Montreal they go from one player to go to the next generation and then they move out. For me, the fact like you can teaching Connor Bedard to adapt. It's not Zeb Jones. It's not Max Domi. It's not Tyler Johnson. It's not like Murphy. They have nobody inside the organization to teaching what is about the Chicago Blackhawks. The go from there to go all the way over there. I know said to keep Patrick Kane for 5 years to teaching Connor Bedard, but they have a kind of movement of Jonathan Toews to move from 1 year to another year and then just go let it go after that. That's my point behind that.
But again, I understand your point, but my point is that my read on the situation is they don't want to continue that culture. Like yes, they were winning Stanley Cups, but there was a terrible hockey culture. Like terrible things happen in that dressing room, right? Like There's
Well,
people
I'm
that got
not talking about
abused in that org.
the culture. I'm talking about the professionalism. To talking what it takes to work and how it takes to be a
Yeah,
player that talented he is about that. You know what I mean? Like they are
yeah.
super elite player. That's my point. It's not like out of the sun. They cannot really live in the culture they have before. That's completely understanding about that.
So to me, again, it's smarter if you're Chicago. Like if I was a public relations firm, and I know hockey is not all about public relations, but in this case, Chicago really needs to work on their public relations after everything that they went through, right? So if I'm a public relations, consultant, advising on this, yes, I agree. Okay, you feel that you need experienced elite players to give Bedard, a good mentorship to know what it. Fantastic. Yeah, we know that, but just get somebody else that wasn't part of the organization from before because you want to start something fresh and new. So just move Taves and Kane. I would get rid of them. If Chicago is actually committed to moving on from that part of their history, then move on. Move them out. Bring in like another veteran. Bring in some other veteran guys next year. That teams do this all the time when they're rebuilding. Is you bring in character people like a Corey Perry or whatever. Like bring in somebody like that and teach them what it's like to be professionals. But just get away from the history that we all know that they had in that organization.
But again, what happened in the past, it was not the player involved. It was more about the staff management. So
Well, yeah,
I
it's
not
hard to
protect
believe that
them.
though.
I
It's
not
really hard
protect
to
them.
believe that.
And I said it was right or wrong. But I think for me, if you want to have a tradition, I think you need to get some veteran around him, around Connor
Yeah,
Bedard or
I agree.
Carlson, whatever they are. Because right now they
Yeah,
don't have
I agree.
at
We
35
agree
years
on
old. You
that
tell me
for
that.
sure.
So
Yeah, you need some veterans around for sure.
yeah, and another question: do you believe most not will stay away from Taser because of those upset what happening in the Kirby deck? It's not an activity.
Do you believe that? Stay away from kids. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, right? Like, I think that might be the case. Yeah.
Ron, so why you keep days in the Kane Miserable in Chicago? I think for them, maybe sometimes players want to stay with one organization. They want to be the jersey, the rafter, or the. I can go deeper like that, but definitely they will keep the
Yeah.
jersey in their way. But I think that's what
Yeah.
they are thinking about this. We heard this week about Shea Weber. Someone said Shea Weber want to play in the NHL on over 40 years old. His goal was to play for stay in Montreal to sign another contract if he was not injury after what happening to him. So players have some different personal goal, and maybe one of them is maybe stay with this organization and would only
Yeah.
play for one organization in
Sure.
NHL.
It's possible. Yeah. Like, there's a prestige, right? Like, not many players nowadays play their whole career with the same team, so there is a prestige to that.
Um, why so few trade at 12 a team have no cap space? 17 have a player on the 27 have less $3 million cap
Same boat.
space.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
one
exactly
reason
it.
there. Comparatively, it was in the past. I think Marco is going to have a lot of more trade at the last minute this year, like he was before. I think it's going to be a big, a lot of trade at the trade deadline, like the between February 26th, example, to March 2nd. I think that would be really more not like he was like maybe 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before. A lot of people waiting for the salary cap. First of all, see if they have a long-term injury reserve. Thirdly, if they have where they at understanding.
So, Coach, I'm just giving you I'm at my dog walking time threshold here soon, so I'm gonna have to let my dog out pretty soon. It's that time of night.
Yeah. Um, I
Yeah,
just don't get it why Chicago trade Doc that would like Montreal trade Sarkowski in 2 years. Why?
yeah. Like this, we had this discussion, Coach. Like, I guess you were in favor, like you see it, like fire sale and all in for the tank, but I just don't understand. Like, it's one thing if you're moving away, like I said, from Taves and Kane, but I just don't. And I understand. I was really excited about Nazar. We've both said it, right? Like, one of the most interesting things as Habs fans is 3, 4 years from now comparing Doc and Nazar. That would be a very interesting comparison because really that's what the trade was, right? Is we traded our what is it, whatever it was, our 12th pick or whatever it was for Doc, which ended up to be Nazar. So we'll see if that was the right move. Hopefully it was.
Yeah, absolutely about this. People talk about Doc and Nazar and the chat. Ken role model is the best joke in 2023 about this one there. Again, Patrick Kane, in the last 5 years, what he did wrong on the off ice, what kind of conversation you did against him? Like, if you look about his career in the last 5 years, what happening to him about off ice to disrespect him to be that way in NHL? The guy do private lesson every freaking week, summertime with Dan Bismuth, Dan, the guy from Ontario. He walked his ass off every single summer about that one over there. And because you make one mistake about the taxi stuff like that, now the people judge him. The guy saved to be the best player in the NHL, to working hard, everything like that. But we don't only talk. It's the taxi guys. So for me, it's like
that's not
For me, I don't feel it's great
I agree
about that one.
I agree. People should definitely have second opportunities. My only thing, is it's a little bit of tainted with being part of that leadership group with everything that happened in Chicago. Only really people inside know how much those guys knew. So it's we don't know all the information, but I agree. Like, listen, like everybody deserves a second chance. So I'm with you on that one.
Some people think, but I'll go to Arizona. Some dogs they go to Anaheim. About this one, so about that Batman is stand over the back one for the military market. And those ones just, I'm always worried about this Zeph and Marco. The last person took the ball of the draft lottery, the lottery. It's Gary Bettman. I'm always worried about that one. Hey, it's not live, by the way, right? It's recording, but it's not live.
It's all it is. Oh yeah. You remember that one year where the Rangers won for Lafreniere and they had this slow motion one of the Rangers ball, like it came out and went back in. Like I think it was Gary Bettman's mind that made it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That Mr. Terry T in the house about this. You have to go. Ken finishing the show, no problem. Marco, that's no big deal.
Okay. Yeah, guys, I gotta go because my dog is not gonna make it. So have a great night, guys. Always lots of fun. Sorry we didn't get to all your questions, but thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the likes, and hope if you haven't had a chance to watch us HABS Sunday brunch, HABS brunch this morning, then please go check it out, and for sure come check us out next Sunday. We're gonna have Keg and Haynes again next week. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks, Coach. Lots of fun.
Thanks for Marco. Have a great night, buddy. See you next Sunday. Thank you, Marco. Okay, Marco Larabie, guys, back in the house with us for tonight. Did a great job with the Hockey Nation show tonight. The show going to finishing the next couple of minutes. We're going to finish with the Frenchy quiz. We're going to consider what's going on in the chat, so I can pick it up. Primo is just playing to expectation. I would dominate like he did in the playoff last year. It would be bench friend, but he did not live so far. He's only 22 years old. Zeph, we have to wait a little bit longer. Mayu, Nate playing time is on his way, but he need to manage to sharpen his skill. Looking Mayu is looking good. Yeah, an emergency goalie called up rules in place, so why not to take advantage of that? Yes, you can go that way, Rudolph. Well, Mayu is not a defense yet, but you cannot bring someone over. The guy have a contract. By the way, Arizona beat the Golden Knight, but they score 4-1 tonight. Is an offensive genius, but I like his offensive upside. Mayu is not offensive. Yep, François, I'm sorry about this. Jim, the Snake Primo will never make it. Jim, welcome aboard. Thanks for being us. Alan is not coming back until February for Alan. About this, Jeffrey Corey knocked the door. François Bouillon said Logomir is a top prospect for the defenseman. About Mayo. Mr. Cake is in the house. I remember growing up with number 600 Rafael still the arcade was dominated. He never transcended the power of Faubril. Good night, Nicolas. Have a great week at school. I appreciate that. about this. Good night, Nicolas. Yes, I love it. There we go. We try to get, if we have other conversation, don't forget that I will get rid of the contract at the trade deadline and the off season. It depends about this, Carrie. If you talk about Dadonov, Drouin, Biron, yes, you're absolutely right about this. The difficult one is going to be Anderson, Gallagher, Armia. The three over there, they'll be difficult to move. Gary, about that one there. Is you afraid he want out? About this, Pelletier is 200 years old, François. Pelletier does not like people, Randy. And try to get other thing. If 16-1 Pelletier, they are open for the HABS that would add the deadline. Just curious, as a players ever won the Rocket or Ross in the Heart? Just curious, has a player won the Rocket, Richard, the Hot Ross in the Heart? I would say Wayne Gretzky. 92 goals this season. Coach, what is your opinion of the Martin St-Louis to his point this season? Pretty good. I think for me, Luc Laforcade does not like Martin St-Louis, but for me, I always judge a coach with the development and the progression of the players. So look about Jay Woodcroft with Edmonton Oilers. Look the 5 players: Bouchard, Alloway, McLeod, Broberg, defenseman. I think I said Broberg. It could be his name is not the right name. All they are better today like he was a couple of months ago. And I think they did not develop very well. Martin St. Louis, if you think about Jekai, Sakoski, and all the rookies they have, Coley, Harris, and everything, and the Montembeault, all they are better today, I would say to you, yes. So for me, that's what Martin St. Louis, he got hired, is to develop the young players to become better. And that's the reason I would said Martin St. Louis does a good job at the end. The win and the loss have no importance at the end of the day. Yes, the culture, yes, the brand, yes, they want to teaching people winning, everything like that. I understand that. But this not the West they are looking for with Martin St. Louis. They want to have those kind of the maturity, the players to learning, to progress at some level. And I think for me, Martin St. Louis did it so far, sent his coach behind the bench. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, did like not don't make 5 million. Like it's not like make fun of coach. You would do it. You would dream. Would you fit your dream? I don't know. So, Coach, can you set the name again? Coach, can you set that name again about this? Good evening, Adam. Coach, fans Sean Weber practicing on the ice in Vegas. Yeah, Sean Weber helping the Silver Knights. Adam, really surprised me to see that. But you're absolutely right. He was on the ice with that organization. Unfortunately, the Vegas Golden Knights lost tonight again Arizona 4-1. Maybe a good news for the Montreal to get the Coyotes a little bit closer. But we're interesting to that. Anderson can score a goal, so we give him a first and more. David Savard, Luc Laforcade, how do you consider him and as a goaltender? I think you guys, you missed the point here. Go backwards and look about all the players got traded at the trade deadline. If Ben Chariot got a first-round pick, a player like Josh Anderson, you're going to get at least a first-round pick, a plus with that part. It's black and white over there. I don't know, look, why you're thinking this way about that. They don't have a lot of Josh Anderson in NHL. 6'3", 220 pounds, they score 20 goals per season, bring those kind of physicality during the game, and he's very good on the playoff. But it's a cost after that. If not, you keep Josh Anderson in the organization until 33 years old, 34 years old, and that's it, that's all. But it will not bring you what you expect. So if Josh Anderson is not a first-round pick in return, You don't trade him. You die with him as your third line players, and that's it. That's all. But if Josh Anderson didn't get a first round pick, many players in NHL don't deserve a first round pick in return, because what that is the type of player you're going to get on the playoff, on the trade deadline in return. Weber was not. He was coaching on the ice about this one. I would have to look up. Not sure Gretzky did it 3 and 1 year. Then the drum and Weber come back. No, he's just a coach. New Jersey not ready to make a move yet. Don't make the same mistake like Florida. Look at Sunday. Yeah, maybe they're not ready. They can wait 1 more year, but at the end of the day, look, they will have to look for a power forward winger at some point. That would be, and they have the money with Johansson and leaving the building, and they have another player at $2.5 million. That gave them a $5 million open up. I think they will need to add winger. They cannot win with what they have right now. It's not Alexander Olds. It's not. I think it's Sutherland. I believe his last name anyway. Sweden players. You need physicality and bigger winger about this at the third line. The channel, and then the Uber would be got that the Prinkat was the nail and the coffin. Talking about professionalism, I think Sutter can use some course on that one. There, if you are Chicago management, you must resign and go live to Siberian. Corey Perry teaching whenever you can, Slipwater and open game. Not much say about this. The Hawks, they have trained to lose like the rest of the team. Cannot inspire a new member of the leader. Need to get that. No trade because everyone looking at the better for Alan Cave. Yeah, for the team all, but that's the point. And then the team want to go deeper, low on the lowest side, on losing more. They would trade their best players. So we said to you, like Anaheim, they maybe would trade Adam and Renke. Arizona Coyotes maybe trade Jakob Chikron. Maybe Chicago trade Jonathan Tays and maybe Patrick Kane and maybe other players over there. The Columbus Blue Jacket, they will be definitely maybe thinking to trade Capricov and Nyquist at some point at the trade deadline. So the lower team to try to go down more players to get loser and lose more game. On the flip side, on the playoff, want to win more game or to make a long run, they maybe trade for those kind of players. So that's a win-win situation about this one to win in this league. Okay, if we cannot make a Don Patrick Kane joke, then they're going to and I don't think anyone will make a Kane taxi joke. Serious? Well, I hope so. Doc have a good words about Kane when he was in Chicago. Good night, Marco. Salut, Marco. Chicago can compare Doc with Nazar in a few years. Montreal has to compare Doc with Aslan, who was still available as number 12. Rudolph. Yeah, a good point. I don't see Doc like Doc's going to be an excellent hockey player. I think he fit very well with the Montreal Canadiens, and Nazar's going to have a good year with the. He's going to be a good player with the Chicago Blackhawks in the future. The time will tell us for sure about this will be a good one or not. Thanks, Marco. About this. Richard was the best one opponent there to hit him. Richard can be sure is going to score. About this, good night, Nicolas. NHL Hockey News is in the house. Welcome aboard. Thanks to be with our Canadian show. Anderson is per trade beta for a first round pick. About this, that's what Luke Lafortune believe is not. Will not be need 4 years. He will not need Anderson a year, 4 years. One the team will become a powerhouse. About this, not too many players like him. You trade him while you are really want to lose. About that one there. Here's the point, Luke Lafortune. If you want to get a first round pick and to get a goaltender, and you get something bigger for what you have, but that's the reason you're going to trade Josh Anderson. And I said earlier, when you go to trade Josh Anderson, the next day they're going to looking to add in the future a player like Josh Anderson. It's just a normal, but that's called a rebuild, right? You can keep Josh Anderson, but can you tell us what Josh Anderson bring to the Montreal Canadiens and the future when the Montreal Canadiens in the next 4 years is going to be better, but Josh Anderson is going to be at he's going to be decline, or his career is going to be 32, 33 years old. You still have to pay $5.5 million per year when you can get that money to give to another players as a great player forward, top 6 in NHL. That's what you have to take those kind of decisions at some point. What he looked like, Josh Anderson, at 33 years old, when the Montreal Canadiens are going to be on his best. Can he bring that kind of physicality? Can he become a Nick Foligno in the NHL? Nick Foligno was great when he played with the Columbus Blue Jackets. But Nick Foligno now today is not at that level. But that's what the kind of player he can become, Josh Anderson, at 33 years old. Ready for le quiz en tape. J'espère que ça sera pas long, le quiz. Look, Gretzky never won the Rocket run with Kings. Now, the Rocket trophy came later after that. That's the only reason I would say to you for that. I like Anderson, but he will not win at the next 3 seasons. François, I agree with you. What neat transition. Before we get to the future, we have to survive, coach. And that's the reason. Look, that's the reason. Do you prefer to take that money, Josh Anderson 5.5, and to give a young 26 years old like Timo Meier for the San Jose Sharks at $8.5 million to become a great winger, top 6? Do you prefer Josh Anderson or do you like Timo Meier? You go have an access now to sign a UFA. I think I have one in my subject tonight. It was about this one. Add the should trade Anderson or not. Then my next one who said, do you think the Montreal Canadiens should sign a UFA player for next season? Now you get a first-round pick, you get a goaltender, and return for Josh Anderson, and you take the $5.5 million with the $20 million they get right now to sign a guy like Timo Meier, David Pastrnak, or do you get another player like in on UFA right now for the upcoming season? They are all on the UFA next year. I don't say Pastrnak will not resign with the Boston Bruins, but those players will be available next year. Bertuzzi will be another one over there. Dylan Larkin will be another one over there. And I can go the list like this. Do you keep the money? You don't sign them? Is it Montreal is ready enough for next year? They did it. And the Rangers, they signed Panarin. That time with Gordon was there. Is it a time? Is it too early? But at some point, do you take the money Gallagher? Do you take the money Anderson? Can you suffer 5 years now with Gallagher 6.5, 5.5 million for Anderson at the end for $12 million? Those questions, I don't have the answer, but those you have to thinking this way. Look. Not too hard to trade a guy who scored less than 20 goals and assists 1 year half of that. I thought in that was saying we would not be one trade up about this. That's all the kind of question Anderson will likely fit a first round pick at trading him would be hard but necessary. About this, I don't think anyone has thrown all 3 rewards. About it will be depend on the draft. Bon, j'y vais pour vrai. Bonne nuit, mon Nicolas. Merci beaucoup, mon Nicolas, d'être avec nous ce soir. We hit 11 o'clock, guys, so it's time to start up the break, the quiz. At this moment, I have so many things we can talk tonight. It was pretty good overall for the conversation we have tonight. The quiz, it's time to the quiz with Coach Frenchy. Are you ready on that one with it? Coach, you need to take your note. Yes, I have to do that. I get to the book. 5 questions, a lot of good questions tonight about this one. It's going to be a little bit easier. Gretzky does have all 3 in a tap. Gretzky does have all the 3. If we want to for the logo, it get better. It will accelerate the rebuild. It would be open to sign a UFA. François Pitre. Yeah, it could not be only better. I think for me, to be at the top 4 is to be an experience about this. And After that, it's all about to see, do you take Michkov or not? Or be Michkov be another one about this one there. Anyhow, let's move on now for the subject of the quiz of the night.
Oh my God!
We'll come back with that. All right. Who is the last player to score 40 goals in their first 48 games in one season? Who is the last player to accomplish this after, of course, McDavid? But from this list over there, is it Pavel Bure, Ovechkin, Gretzky, Brett Hall, or Mike Bossy? Who is the last player to score 40 goals in the first 48 games in one season? Good luck, everybody. Chicago go with Brett Hall. And I think it's Oscar for one of the so that's why he has all three. Lacasse, Luc Lafortune. And Rudolph go with A. Rudolph go with D. Thanks so much, Rudolph. Nicolas go with A. I have only 4 answers right now. Oh, we have a few people pop up. Zenit, Gary, and Willie Snyder. Anybody else? Vinny go with C. Ron with Kings go with 20. That's pretty what we have right now. Luc Lafortune, no answer. And I thought go with E. 801 in the house. Luc Lafortune go with A. Randy Walkman go with D. Here we go, guys.
Oh my God!
I will ask in our top what will be a second option about that one. This question was answered last night on the H Hockey Night in Canada. The answer, guys, is A. Pavel Bure is the last player to score 40 goals in the fat one over there. And congratulations, we have a few people. And Rabinov, Nicolas de Gobi Bono, Game, Zenit Gaming, he got it. Gary Cournoyer got it. And Luc Lafortune got it. Congratulations for that one over there. Question number 2. Which player from this list did not score 100 goals a plus in their first 3 seasons in NHL and the last 10 seasons? So the last 10 years in NHL, which player from this list did not score 100 goals in the first 3 seasons in NHL? You got it in our top, option number 2. Is it McDavid, Matthews, Kane, or Kaprizov? Which player from this list did not score 100 goals a plus in the first 3 seasons in NHL? Chicago go with Patrick Laine. Thanks so much. Nicolas go with Patrick Laine. Faye go with, so far we have only Patrick Laine. 801 did it. Anybody else? Whoop, now this is moving. And I'll go with Patrick Laine. Ron go with D, Kaprizov. Rudolph go with Kaprizov. Anybody else? Luc Lafortune go with Kaprizov. Gary Cournoyer go with Kaprizov. Anybody else? Vinny go with Kaprizov. We have Luc. Zenit Gaming. I didn't see Zenit Gaming yet. Zenit Gaming is on this. The only one I did not get. Anybody know Zenit Gaming gave us an answer? Guys? Willie Snyder go with A. Zenit Gaming go with A. Thanks so much about that one over there. Here we go, guys. Oh, not this one.
Oh my God!
This one, it was a tough one, ladies and gentlemen. And I know I will get everybody until only one did right. This guys, after one other game, the answer is Connor McDavid scored 42, 36, and 19 goal. It's not only the McDavid scored 89 goal, I think, or 87 goal in the first 3 seasons in NHL. Let me get again. Connor McDavid, guys, is 3 seasons in NHL, 16, 30, and 41. That gave him a total of 87 goal in NHL. So that's what happening about this one with that. Congratulations for Zenit. Is the only one take the lead at 2, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 3. Who is the last player from the Avalanche and Nordic together to score 30 goals in their first 43 games and 1 season since Mika Rantanen did last week? Who was the last player did it for the Nordic? Is it Matt Sundin, Owen Nolan, Peter Stastny, Matt Duchene, or Joe Sakic? Here we go. Here we go. Chicago go with Joe Sakic. Thanks so much about this one. Oh, the clock, coach. Luke says, nice, isn't it? Run with King, go with Peter Stastny. Okay, thanks so much. And I go with B. Willie Snyder go with E. And Rabinov go with B. And Zenit go with C. Luke Lafortune go with B. Gary go with E. Nicola gave A. Here we go. Got you, Nicola. Look like everybody gave us a good answer so far. We'll see if you are right or wrong. Wait for the timer. Get out. Rudolph, go with D. Magician. Thank you, Rudolph. Vinny, go with E. Randy Walkman, go with E. Joe Sakic. Chicago said, get out of the Gogola.
Oh my God!
But, guys, and Alta got it right. He said B for Owen Nolan, but we have now a game tie by Luke Lafortune, Zenit Gaming, and Nick Rabinov. And Rabinov are 2. And Alta have 1 goal. Gary Cournoyer 1 goal. And Nicolas de Gobigano have 1 goal.
Oh my God!
Congratulations. Question number 4. Good job so far, everybody. Helen should participate at this one. Anyhow, how many players active score 500 goals in NHL? How many players are active, play right now in NHL, score 500 goals in NHL? Is it 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, or 6 of them? How many players right now play in NHL, have a contract, and play in NHL at this moment are in 500 goals? They did. Here we go. Start with B, Chicago. Thanks so much about this one. He said 3. Chicago said B, Williams C, Nicolas D, Rudolph said A, Ron King said B, Faye said 8, D over there. Hold on, I try another B, Radulov C, Gary Connery A, Zenit E, Zenit Wendell B, Luke Lafortune B. Do I need another one? Nicolas gave us an answer. I think Nicolas said D, I believe. Nicolas said D. Fire it. All right, I'll get an answer, guys. A few of you got it, guys.
Oh my God!
And now it's looking better and better when talking about Mr. Nartap because the answer, guy, is B. 3 player are active and NHL got that one. Vinny 007 got that one from D to B. Vinny got a 0.5 point on that one over there. But Run with Kings, Chicago, and in our top have a one is at now at 2. Randy Walkman is at 1. But Luc Lafortune take the lead at 3, ladies and gentlemen. About that one over there. So congratulations. Luc Lafortune at 3. Zenit at 2. And then N. Rabinov is at 2. Last question of the night. From this list, since 2017, 2020, and 18, which player has the lowest goal but all over 200, but over 200 goal? Which one from this list have less goal since 2017, 18, but they all score 200 goals? Is it Matthews, Corner, McDavid, Tressalot, or Pasternak? Which one of them have the less goal in NHL 2017, 2018, but all of them score 200 goals? About this one over there. And Chicago said B. Thank you so much, Chicago. John, welcome aboard. Luc is in the lead. Here we go. John D, Mr. D from Island Ranch is in the house. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. Possibly we'll get 50 tonight. Zenit go with B. Randy go with C. Rida with E. And Rabinov go with B. Thanks so much. Freight 801 said D. Gary Connery go with C. And after go with D. Luc Lafortune go with B. Willie Snyder go with D. Vinny go with D. Do we have anybody else in the house? Ladies and gentlemen, tonight at the Hockey Nation Live Show on the special night of the Sunday night, apologize for that one over there. We have a winner. Who's going to win tonight? The answer to that one, guys, is B. Is the answer to that one. Luc Lafortune scored 4 times tonight and 5 attempts. And Luc Lafortune is the winner of this contest, following by N. Rabinov at 3 and Zenit Gamin at 3 and Artap at 2. And the other winner, Chicago, is at 2. But Luc Lafortune nailed it tonight, ladies and gentlemen, from L'Ange Gardien. Mr. Luc Lafortune, congratulations for your performance tonight. It's getting better and better. Luc Lafortune is better behind the camera when he is live on the quiz. But congratulations, Mr. Luc, the master. And then that's conclude, guys, a wonderful, great night that we have tonight. I think we should do more stuff like that more often to do like Let's Talk Habs or talking about NHL. We go from every direction tonight because you ask a lot of great questions. We had a great time. Hopefully you enjoy it tonight for sure. Today, my score is 0-5 from Ridolf. If your name was not there, almost make it. Congratulations, Luc from Zenit and Ridolf. Congrats. Merci beaucoup, mon Luc Lafortune. Adam, Cole Vegas lost 4-1 to Arizona. Yeah, I just said that. A little bit earlier, the Vegas Golden Knight not looking good. I think Logan Thompson looked tired for me. I could be wrong, Adam, about this, but it would be interesting for the next couple of games for the Vegas Golden Knight for sure. What happened to them? We missed Mr. RJ tonight. RJ Calabro was not with us tonight. Danny T was supposed to see him in the blue, white, and red. red, white, and blue with the Montreal Canadiens jersey. Maybe Danny will bring back the next time. Until the next time, my friend, don't forget tomorrow night at 6 o'clock p.m. the warm-up show with the co-host in our tap. Don't forget my video every morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time about the HABS Daily News. And of course, the HABS Brown show. And then Montreal Canadiens play Tuesday night again the Boston Bruins. They play Thursday night again the Detroit Red Wings. And next Saturday, they play again the Ottawa Senator. Until then, my friend, we wish you an amazing, great weeks. And I can wait to see you until the next video of the Hockey Nation show. But we want to remind you,
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
yes, you have greatness inside of you. Thanks so much to be with me tonight. Until the next time, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only to dominate your day, but find the way to dominate the first half of what? Oh, yeah, 2023. Have a great night. Sweet dream, everybody. Thanks again to be with me tonight. We love you, people.
What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I let go? I do really want to know what's going on now. Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting on a show. Come on, get a grip now of all the ways we parted. You showed in your own way we would stand and we would fall united. Come on, get a grip now. Just finish what you started. Don't like the feeling that I've been fooled, deceived, and so misguided. Oh, oh, oh. What do I know? What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I let go? I do really want to know what's going on now. Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting on a show. What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I let go? I do really want to know what's going on now. Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting on a show.
Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, oh, oh.
Booyah!